On the right, it's Eldrazi versus Hogak. Both these players 4-0 here in Columbus. Mattery Shaper? Mattery Shaper.
It's just
your play.
What do you want to do? Attack, block, kill it, don't kill it?
Do not kill it.
It leaves you with no good options.
The Marsh Flats here for Connor Mullally. He'll fall down to 19 at least. We could see him fall down to 17 here in just a moment. He's got to dig a little bit deeper there in that deck. And there is an Overgrown Tomb. So it'll be 17 there for Connor. And there is a Gravecaller to get this game started here for Dylan Hand. He started things off with the Nurse's Power Plant. We'll see what his second land is going to be. He could be working towards Tron here pretty effectively. Or it could just be an Eldrazi Temple game. That's the thing about Eldrazi Tron. There's a couple different ways it can go. It's going to be a copy of Walking Ballista for just one and pass the turn back. A Blood Crypt will very quickly enter the battlefield untapped there from Mullally, and now it'll be a Satyr Wayfinder. So now, if you're Hand, you've got a little bit to think about with the trigger on the stack. Looks like he's going to kill the Gravecrawler. This will prevent Hogak from actually being able to be cast because 4 cards in the graveyard plus the 1. Marsh Flats is 5 plus those 2 creatures, 1 black, 1 green, means that it could have been convoked onto the battlefield. Hand knew that, saw that interaction very quickly. And even though you don't really love to kill a Gravecrawler with a Walking Ballista, you like to kill something maybe a little more permanent, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, it was unlikely to get that much better, and the risk of Mullally spiking into Hogak right there is too threatening, so Hand deciding to play it safe.
And it does appear as though Connor did have a Hogak in hand, so able to slow it down for at least one turn, as Dylan Hand played an Expedition map, and there's his Power Plant, and simply passed the turn back. For Connor, it's a Lotleth Troll. That'll resolve, and now Bloodghast will be discarded to the Lotleth Troll. We may be seeing a land here in just a moment in that Blooming Marsh. Yes, getting back the copies of Bloodghast.
Yeah, you can use them to convoke as well as exile, so better to have the Bloodghast on the battlefield.
Looks like this might be turning out to be a pretty good turn. Here comes the Gravecrawler as well. There's a zombie on the battlefield, of course. Now he's going to discard the Hogak, and now he's going to convoke in the Hogak. You know, not a bad turn. Not a bad turn.
Well, Mattery Shaper lines up very nicely against these various 2-1s.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Block with the Lotleth. You know, you can block the Lotleth Troll, maybe spend a mana, maybe discard a card. If Mullally decides to attack with the Satyr Wayfinder, you get that for free. That's a free block.
I like that. It's free all day.
Yeah.
It's what I like to call tough turn for Dylan. It's a tough turn. Urza's Tower was found. What are you counting there, boss?
Damage on the other side here.
Oh, the Great Creator. Well, I'm going to search for something. I don't know what. Is there a goodie to find? Ensnaring Bridge, probably, right?
Ensnaring Bridge.
All right.
That's one of the potential vulnerabilities of the Hogak deck after the banning of Bridge from Below. You no longer have Alter Dementia, and so you are threatened by Ensnaring Bridge in a way that you weren't previously.
So I think you can attack for 19, if my math's good. I'm counting 8 from Hogak, 4 from Lotleth, that's 12, 6 from the Knuckleheads, that's 18, Satyr Wayfinder is 19. So if you have a creature to discard, the game should end? Show me a creature. There we go. That'll work. Just a cool attack for 20.
Easy.
Easy breezy. We got Connor Mullally up a game here very quickly over Dylan Hand. Hogak wins game number 1 over Eldrazi.
And even if he ain't got to his next turn, he would still have to empty out to prevent the Satyr Wayfinder from being lethal. So, you know.
I would say not a bad turn.
Not a bad turn.
Not a bad turn. Dylan Hand sideboard is where we're going to go now. For Leyline of the Void, of course. 2 Spatial Contortion. Here come the one-of fun-ofs for Karn the Great Creator. Walking Ballista Trinisphere. Tormod's Crypt, Sorcerer's Spyglass. The Forge. The brand new Forge, along with the Mycosynthlatus, of course. A liquid metal coating, an ensnaring bridge, which we saw Dylan find and not be able to cast, and a Grafdigger's Cage. What are we thinking there, boss?
4 Leyline of the Void.
Good start.
The end. The rest of these are, they're targets to... I mean, I guess you could... Maybe you just bring in the extra Ballista. You would never go get it with Karn, but
you ain't got time to search for that.
Yeah, but it's not maybe the worst card to naturally draw. I don't know. But the ley lines, let's go there.
We'll go to Connor, who's also got 4 Leyline of the Voids. It might be the most played card in this tournament, just like it is at Magic Fest 4 in Barcelona right now. 2 Rotting Rigosaur. That's a new one. Big 7/6 dinosaur for 3 mana. A Plague Engineer. I got a Force of Vigor, a Fatal Push, an Assassin's Trophy, and Abrupt Decay. So, like, a nice little swath of cards that can kill a Leyline, but not a ton of them, actually.
Yeah, a couple cards with the Leyline. I think the 7/6 is going to be great here.
Yeah, right. That thing's huge.
It's outside Dismember range. It's a way of, getting something in your graveyard in case that element of the deck gets disrupted. And it's bigger than all of Hand's threats as well. That one's going to be a player here, I think.
I think it's going to be fun to see how players evolve their sideboards to combat Leyline, Rest in Peace, and all the other stuff, because you can just play a creature game.
Yep.
And that thing's bigger than a lot of stuff that other people are bringing to the table.
And a lot of people don't bother with creature removal against you because so much of it lines up poorly. Hogak just comes back and all the little stuff is recursive or replaceable. So having a big card that's vulnerable to removal spells could be a really good play in post-board, because the types of cards that are good against it, people are unlikely to have in their deck post-board.
Well, folks, those are the options there for both players. And game number 2 will be underway here in just a moment as Dylan Hand will be on the play as he lost game number 1. We're going to go to the Season 2 schedule here on the SCG Tour. We were in Pittsburgh. Did you like Pittsburgh when we were there?
I had a good time.
Yeah?
Yeah, Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh. I spent a lot of time in my late teens and early 20s out there because of the CMU Target testing connection. I like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that one was won by Dominic Harvey, Jeremy Bertarioni, and Jonathan Hobbs. Then Worcester, a couple weeks later. That was release weekend for Corset 2020, won by Aaron Barrich. After that, we had Philadelphia last week, and that was won by Corey Baumeister, kind of making his debut on the SCG Tour and his debut with Team Lotus Box. Shaheen Sarani, the old man, getting it done with Azorius Control in the modern seed. And Peter Ingram, they won that Team Constructed Open. We're going to crown a champion here in Columbus. And then we're going to take a pretty healthy break before going to Richmond.
Yeah, it's going to be a couple weeks off. We got the one show there in August. That's Richmond, which is Team Constructed. Then we head to Dallas. We got one open in September, but it's going to be Legacy in Syracuse, New York. And then October, pretty stacked. We got Philadelphia to start the month, and then Indianapolis, and then the regional championships, which is modern, on October 19th. You can head over to go.starcitygames.com/regionals as we get a little bit closer to that event for more information. Then we round out October with a Modern Open in Atlanta, October 26th and 27th. November, December, one event apiece, but they're big ones. SCGCON Winter featuring the Star City Games Invitational. That will be November 14th through 17th. And then the Players' Championship in Roanoke, Virginia, December 13th through the 15th to close out the year.
We got play mats aplenty here for Season 2 of the 2019 SCG Tour. For our standard friends here, it'll be Captain's Quarters, illustrated by Titus Lunter. For our modern opening classic players, it will be Aurora's Light, illustrated by Jonathan Avon. And last but certainly not least, it will be Ripped from Reality, illustrated by Mark Teeden. These playmats are free and exclusive to the SCG Tour. These are not Magic cards. These were drawn for this purpose, and you'll get these with entry into any Open, Classic, Infinite Challenge, or Seal Spectacular package. Head over to go.starcitygames.com/schedule. Find where we're going to be. I'll tell you where we are right now. We're in the void of the Leyline variety if you are Connor. Now, I am curious how much Connor has played against this card and if he's even worried about having to play against this card, because he's got that sideboard that looks a little innovative for the weekend. While Dylan Hand has kept a one-land hand with Expedition maps, this can be a common thing we see, players keeping a Leyline hand and not being able to function otherwise.
Well, hands, the hand here has such a high ceiling. You have a Leyline, and if you have land number 2, you get to, assemble Tron pretty easily from this spot. But he is under some pressure. Mullaly is playing to the battlefield right now. Doesn't need the graveyard currently.
I see Lauren Nolan walking up with the slip once again. He was our time-shifted match last round that we didn't get the opportunity to go to. He took care of Hogak last round with humans. He's won again, so it looks like he is 5-0 here with humans this weekend. Connor's going to give some beatdowns here with Lot the Troll and Carrion Feeder. It's not the fastest of clocks, but it looks like his hand is somewhat reactive as well. He's got a copy of Assassin's Trophy in hand. The tough thing is that he's got at least one copy of Hogak in hand, and that is very hard to play through. a Leyline of the Void.
And you kind of don't want to. I mean, at this point, I guess, with Hand making the second land drops and having a path to assemble Tron here, you don't care about Assassin's Trophying him up some mana because he's going to have all the mana in the world to work with shortly.
Seagate Wreckage, Urza's Mine, and an Urza's Tower to come most likely here for Dylan Hand, as that's what he searched up with that Expedition map. There is the Tower of Power.
But this is exactly the type of draw where Rotting Regisaur could have been awesome.
Yes.
As a third turn play.
Yeah. Would have been attacking for 7 this turn. Now there's an Assassin's Trophy on Dylan Hand's end step. So the Leyline's going to go away, and now Connor's going to sacrifice that Polluted Delta and start to build up his graveyard a little bit. Hand will, of course, search up a copy of Waste, so that will enter the battlefield as well, as both these players will be shuffling and presenting decks to cut here in just a moment. Hand, of course, also using that Mind Stone to be able to generate a little bit of a mana advantage, or perhaps sacrificing to draw a card a little bit later in the game.
Also worth noting here that Hand, if he sacrifices the Expedition map to assemble Tron, next turn has access to 10 mana. That is enough to Karn plus Lattice in the same turn if he has a Karn. Now he would still have to beat the battlefield, but Mullaly would have to just play with whatever he had at that point.
So we're going to head back over to Connor now for his 4th turn of the game. Lotless Troll and Carrion Feeder on the battlefield right now. Dylan Hand working with quite a bit of life, but as we saw in the last game, it's not hard for this deck to put together 20 points via the attack step. It can do it all in one turn, in fact. There's a Satyr Wayfinder. And turn over 4 cards. Carrion Feeder, Stitcher Supplier, Blood Crypt, and Vengevine are headed to the graveyard. Now, with Satyr Wayfinder, you don't have to take a land. You have the option to take a land, so he could let this Blood Crypt just go to the graveyard, but he's going to add it to his hand. Vengevine will be discarded. This could get ugly via the Lotless Troll. Hogak is being discarded. This will get ugly.
So at this point, Karn plus Lattice will not be good enough because
you sure
battlefield will be lethal.
You sure about that, huh?
But there could be a path to Ensnaring Bridge and empty out your hand.
New plan.
But
please.
You'd really have to. You would have to empty out though, because Mullaly can attack for a ton this turn, and then if you don't empty out your hand, even if you got Ensnaring Bridge, could attack with Carrion Feeder and sack all these extra knuckleheads to get to lethal.
Expedition map will be sacrificed. Dylan's going to have no shortage of mana as Lotless Troll and 2 Vengevines came across for 12 points of damage after Hogak was convoked onto the battlefield, which was the second creature for the turn. So, Dylan, you searched up a power plant. You've already got the tower in the mine. As Patrick mentioned, he's going to have access to 10 mana. It better be empty my hand 10 mana. Otherwise, we're all done here.
And you would have to also avoid a Shatter. It's not even like Ensnaring Bridge is necessarily good enough.
That's very true.
Now, if you get an Ensnaring Bridge, you survive, and then the next turn you get the Lattice, that's good.
That should be game.
You have the battlefield locked up, and you have the mana locked up. That should be good.
But can he get all of these cards out of his hand is the question. He does have Karn in hand. He'll start with a Karn. He'll minus. Oh no. Okay, there's the bridge. Okay, there's a bridge. All right, you got a little more work to do there, kiddo. Ballista. Ballista can block. Blocker works here, actually.
Yep. You can chump the Carrion Feeder, and then next turn, ideally, you can get everything out of your hand now.
Well, that's game.
Okay, well, that's game.
Well, Trophy's game. Trophy's game Marino. As Connor Mullaly is going to win this game and match here over Dylan Hand. 2-0. Hogak, too much, too fast for Eldrazi Tron. As Dylan missing that land drop, having a ley line, Connor was able to answer that and answer everything else. Moving on to 5-0 here in Columbus.
And you can see